This video is for informational purposes only. I am not a licensed gunsmith. I do my own work. Currently, the gun is unloaded. Here we go. This is a Taurus. A Taurus 605 protector poly 357 Magnum. I'll be replacing the springs, the hammer spring and the trigger spring. Currently it is way too hard to pull the trigger. Double action, single action, not too bad, but couldn't find any videos on the internet of how to do it, so trial and error, and made a short video for you guys. So good luck. Hope you enjoy. Hope this information helps. Good shooting. Trigger pull test. 18.4. Trigger pull test again. 18.36. Single action. 3.14. 3.3. Once you remove the grip, there's a screw hex head down there. You're gonna need a special screwdriver. I made this one right here. I'm gonna take this little nut off right here. Take some work. There you go. Once you get that off, you gotta pull the pin. You gotta take the thumb release off, the cylinder release. You gotta take out that screw and that screw using your Taurus tool that comes with the gun. This little guy. Once you pull that pin out, all the springs are gonna go everywhere. But this whole polymer sleeve. Now I made these little pins here and here, which you're going to need to put inside these springs. So when you depress the hammer, there's a little pinhole here. You have to put one there, and then there inside the trigger spring, there's another pin like that. You can't get to it until you remove all this. So once you pull this pin and pull everything out and pull the hammer out, everything goes everywhere. So make sure to catch everything. Now the screws are removed from here, and the pin has been pulled. Here's the pin. Next thing you do, see how the spring already came loose? You're gonna go ahead and work this hammer out. Or you can just go ahead and start pulling this apart. See how it slides out there, hammer, springs, everything's getting ready to go everywhere. So once the hammer's loose, pull the hammer out. Springs come loose. There you go. Hammer spring, hammer bar, or whatever you call it. Trigger spring, trigger plunger. This is your cylinder release right here. And your transfer bar, safety, right there. And it goes in that little slot. Just Got to remember how everything goes back together now. Now the fun part, the reassembly. So you got to put your thumb release back in first. Make sure it sits in there, like so. Then you got to put your little transfer bar safety in here and make sure it goes the right way. And hold that in place, and this goes in this little trigger slot, which is a pain in the ass to get into. But it's got to flip right into this little slot here. Alright, so now once that's in there, you throw everything on this side and lay it down flat. So there's that. You got to install your spring housing back in place, and it just kind of clips in here like that. Make sure that sits in there. Then once you've used your little pin to capture that spring, you have to put this thing in here, and it just goes in just like this. And that slides in just like that. So now you have your springs in place. So now the fun part, you take this guy and all this stuff that's in place. You have to wiggle. Oh, which reminds me, you need it's good to use something like something that's about as thick as the hammer to hold everything in place there. So you got to get the trigger in, but you got to get this, everything needs to kind of squeeze in at the same time. You got to work it all the way down. And once you get to this point and you're here, it's the tricky part now. So once everything's in place there, you got to get all these little pins out. And that's the hard part, because you got to get all this stuff lined up and with enough room to depress the trigger. Once the trigger's in place, you got to get that little pin out that you put in there, and it's all the way in there. So in order to do so, you have to pull the trigger back. So once you got everything back together, if you haven't modified the trigger spring by cutting some of the rings off, you'll run into this problem. You can't cock it all the way back and it won't fire and release because that trigger spring is too long. So you have to cut it down some more. So got to take it back apart. Alright, so I'm dropping my stuff over here. After reassembly, we got everything working properly. Alright, so now we're going to see what the trigger pull is now. So we'll go here and let's reset that. Let's go here. 7.4, 8.4, 8.4, 8.1. Not too bad. 1.9. 2.2. 2.7. Let's do one more. 2.1. So here's the springs that we ordered. I don't know if you can see those, the wolf springs for the Taurus 73, 85, and 605. I'm using the 6.5 pound and the 9 pound spring. Happy hunting.